Hello.
Hi, welcome to Seahorse Tales. I'm Cassidy from Florida Swim School on Swim Monkey TV, presented by Florida Swim Network. My weekly show called Seahorse Tales will share tips on swim lessons and water safety, and plus we'll share some parenting information for you. You can ask questions live on the show. If you prefer to be anonymous, you can email directly kara@flswimschool.com and I'll respond later. Today's topic is safe entry to pools and ocean, plus what we suggest for children who say they do not want to take the swim lesson. I'm happy to introduce to you as guest on my first show, Syd Lovelace, owner of LA Surf and Swim in Venice Beach, California. Hey, Syd.
Hey, Kara. It's great to be with you today.
Good to see you. Did you do any surfing today?
Yes, I did. I went in the water, did some body surfing with some flippers on. I coached some kids with surfboards and boogie boards and little hand planes, and we had a good day. Water was about 61, so it was a little fresh. Did have the wetsuit on, but the waves were really nice, 3 to 4, occasional 5 foot. So beautiful.
Nice. My husband Syd and I went body surfing today as well with our fins. Waves weren't quite that big, but it's always a good day to get in. So
I'm sure you were a lot warmer than we were.
A lot warmer than you. Yeah.
No wetsuits needed.
No wetsuits.
Yeah. I was getting some ice cream freeze in the brain going under some of those waves. Like, whoa.
Oh, man. So I met Syd Lovelace at a conference for U.S. Swim School Association, which we're both members. Many years ago, I believe it was Phoenix. One of the networking moments was, of course, introduce yourself to someone you don't know. And my friends had already met him. So it's like, okay, you got to meet our new friend, Syd Lovelace. So the conversation went on. Hey, how did you get into swimming? And I remember, Syd, you telling me that you swam at Florida State. And I was like, oh, my husband coached at Florida State. Maybe you know him. So another Syd, Cassidy, my husband. So of course you guys knew each other. And I always love that swimming connections like that. And our friendship grew from there. And we continued being friends. Our family did a long trip down the coast of California, landed in Santa Monica. I think that was around 2009. Mm-hmm. And Syd took us on our first stand-up paddleboard trip down there in Malibu Beach. That was awesome.
Topanga Beach, right at the edge of Malibu. Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome. I have pictures of that as well. But Syd, I think, as I recall, you were a celebrity in Venice Beach before you even knew it, right? I remember your manager at the time going to a movie and coming out saying, "Oh my gosh, Syd, I just saw your life in the movie theater." Why did she?
It was funny. That was a few years ago, and all of a sudden, this movie came out called "I Love You, Man," and a guy named Jason Segel played the part that was me, named Sydney. And what was funny is I hadn't heard much about the film, and the day after it opened, I started getting all these calls, and people are going, "Hey, man, I got everything from." Hey, somebody stole your life. It's up on the screen. You've been stolen. I'm like, what do you mean I've been stolen? Other people were like, hey, congratulations on your movie, man. That's really great. I had other folks that were like, you need to go after go after them, get a lawsuit. I'm just like, I was flattered. It was fun and interesting. And I was, local guy in Venice, and I would eat at the same places, see the same people day after 3 meals out a day on Abbot Kinney Boulevard in Venice. And this writer and producer just started taking notes on me. And the apartment Jason Segel has is decorated the way my studio was as well, behind a house. And I think he had a dog named Gandhi. I had a dog named Buddha. And then the wardrobe, it was crazy. It was like, oh my God, those are my clothes. Seeing the guy with the Uggs and the surf shorts and a flannel shirt that was combinations that I had those colors of. So I will say the main thing that wasn't me is I pick up after my dog every single time, and they didn't. That character Jason Segel didn't like to pick up after his dog. So that's everything else is very, very similar to some action in my life. So it was really funny.
That's pretty cool. Um, Another thing we've spoken about is the different people we teach in the pool. And I think it's pretty interesting. You have this one family that is, I think they're trying to get you ready to teach one of their other children, Maggie from The Simpsons, right? Are you in training to teach Maggie from The Simpsons how to swim, Sid?
Well, yeah, I've been fortunate to work on the creator, Matt Groening's children, to teach them to swim over the last few years. And so Maggie Simpson hasn't been taught to swim yet. So I think in the future she's going to have I don't know if they're going to call him Coach Syd or as long as it's not Sideshow Syd, like Sideshow Bob, I'll be good with it. But yeah, they're probably my coolest, highest profile, kind of celebrity client right now. And it's just really, really great folks, and really generous, and they're big producers, both of content and of children.
Yeah. and they understand the importance of making sure all their kids learn how to swim.
Yeah, I start with each of their babies when they're about 3 to 4 months old. They tend to have twins a lot. So I've worked with 5 of the kids so far, 2 sets of twins and 1 solo. And there's a new one coming in a few months. So keeps me busy. They joke on, I joke, say I'm never going to be able to retire if you guys keep producing so many kids like that. But yeah. So they're really, really cool folks.
That's awesome. That's always fun. So like I mentioned, our topic today is about safe entry. We have a lot of skills we need to teach to all of our students, and specific skills that we want to make sure they have. One for me is definitely the safe entry and into the pool, and we use that for every age. Sid, I'm just going to go through how we do it, and then you can jump in and talk about how you do it with the ocean. Even starting with the baby and me classes, we make sure the parents know that we do not want them walking down the steps holding their child. A lot of them still insist on trying to do it, and then we will stop them to say, hey, but I think the important thing whenever you're teaching any of these skills is explain why you want it done the way you're doing it. So once we explain, hey, it's not safe for you to walk down the steps holding your child because you could trip, and then it becomes a problem. And a lot of times the parents walking down, doing the lesson with their children aren't that comfortable in the pool. So then you really don't want to add to that. So we definitely do that in the beginning. And then what we do with our children as they age and have more things they're able to do. So if they're standing and walking, we want them to walk into the pool. Our pools have steps, and we realize not everybody has steps. So we'll give them suggestions on that, not to rush through it. So if your pool has steps, we like the child to be next to the wall and the parent on the other side, maybe holding their hand. So the other hand of the child is on the wall. So they walk down the steps, feeling each step and realizing how the water gets deeper and deeper. And then once they're maybe down 2 steps or up to their chest about, we'll have them put both hands on the wall so they can just crawl along and crawl back. So that'll help them recognize the depth of the water, which they tend to learn pretty quickly, which is great. For the parents, I have had parents ask, hey, we don't have steps. How should we do this? How should we practice the lessons at home? So we do talk about the seated entry. When you're sitting on the pool, the child sitting on the pool, legs in the water, and we'll have them put both hands on the same side of their body. So the fingers are facing the wall, and then we just have them turn their bodies around to lower them into the pool and then crawl around the side of the pool that way. That is the most important thing, is that there's a parent with them all the time. So we're big on, touch supervision, make sure, which means you can touch that child at any moment. You should be in the pool with them. When we do the exit, it's also, we want them to learn how to crawl out by themselves, elbow, knee, and lifting themselves out of the pool. This is all independent, and it really helps them learn their boundaries. So when they go to a different pool than the one they're learning in, they can use the same way of getting in. They can use that same method of how to get in a pool. And, we do encourage the parents to practice it at home, because all the pools are different as far as how they're set up. What do you think about, you do that too as well, Syd?
Yeah, those are great things. We do very similar as well. Somebody asked a question a minute ago that said, with COVID, how have we changed our entry into the pool? And I think that was best. And really, the entry is the same. We just disinfect after each time the kids get out of the water. So right now we put a 10-minute break in between kids entering the water. So main thing is we're just trying to disinfect with the little bleach or chlorine, just where the high grab areas, just to keep that safe. Kara, the one thing that that I think I want to add to what you were saying, and I think it's so important, is when you are working with your child in the water, whether it's a class or you're playing around, you want to set a rule that they don't swim to you or jump off the wall until you count to 3. So hey, everything's on 3. Let's wait. 1, 2, 3. Not ready, set, go. Okay, because you can live out set and is ready, go. And the reason for that is what will happen if you don't get that in the habit. You'll have your back turned. Your 2, 3-year-old will just jump in like they did 5 minutes ago when you were facing them, and you need to be able to stop and correct and go, wait, no, sit back on the side. I didn't say 3. And it's kind of something you really should be a stickler with, because they will just leap for you, and you just really got to be, hey, I'm sorry, I know this is boring, but we got to do it the right way. If I don't say 3, you don't come to me. And that's a great one we've added.
For sure. We encourage the signal to our last word that they say is go before they do anything. So I hear you on that. And also, we encourage, if they're jumping to the parents at home, we also encourage them, don't just pick them up and keep going, about your playtime. Turn them around and get them back to the wall, so they realize that they need to be able to do that. If they're going to jump, they need to be able to turn around and get back to the wall.
No, that's a good one, Kara. And the other thing too is, I'm not real big on, especially we're talking, red level, yellow levels, our first 2 levels. I don't really want them to jump off the side and just go sinking down vertically to the bottom of the pool. On the side or even on the step, I want them launching themselves to their parent in a belly flop motion to get a horizontal so they can get somewhere. When they just jump off of it and they're not a strong swimmer, they're going to struggle to get back up. They're not really going to be going forward very fast. They're going to need air. So just, a jump is really more of a fly and glide in my mind when we say jump.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, the body position is really important. And we teach that body position stuff at the very early stages, even the babies, doing activities with them so they are in that horizontal position. And we give parents little tips as well, just like we're doing here. If they are going vertical, they need to realize there's no more forward motion. Lift their legs up or get them to put their face in. They even tell them, put your eyes down. A lot of times the parents can't do that at home, which is fine. That's what our job is, but we can still give them tips like now on how to help them get better with that at home.
Well, that's a good point, Kara. And one of the things I've told parents of kids, what happens is sometimes you can have a kid who's sort of an intermediate swimmer, let's say, and they love their goggles. And when they get water in their goggles, everything stops. They just, like, they don't know how to swim. They're treading water. They look like they're drowning, And I tell a parent, if you're your kids can get to the side, you need to tell them, like you just said, put your face down and kick, head down and kick. If you put your head down and kick, you'll get somewhere. But if they're going to try to keep doing this, then mom comes back and says they don't know how to swim yet. No, they just panicked because water got in their goggles. And instead of just saying, swim to the side, really, when you put the head down for non-swimmers, the feet go up and you can move somewhere. When your head's up, vertical happens and you don't get anywhere fast vertically. So yeah, for sure. We actually started, Syd, in our lessons, because so many kids are dependent on their goggles. We started doing half the lessons no goggles. Nice.
Because and some of them just started crying, like, I can't do the lesson, I don't have my goggles on. We're like, exactly why you're doing it without the goggles. There's always a way to get better.
Yeah, and what's funny? I forgot. We added to we do at LA Surf and Swim a checklist to get to the next color. You got to be able to do these 20 things, and the teacher has to sign you off. So on one of our levels, it is swim without goggles, of course. And then it is keep your goggles on. You flood the goggles and swim the other end with flooded goggles.
Wow.
And it
That's a good one.
it freaks them out. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we're going to do it. No, it's water's in my eyes. I know. It's water's in your eyes. We got to do it because I don't want you to be surprised. So that's been one of the best new kind of things that we've done is literally go into water, fill them up. Now let's swim.
Wow.
If you can do that, then you're not going to be surprised. Kara, one thing it reminds me too that I hear a lot of times from parents with new swimmers. They do great when they're at your pool and working with your teacher, but they'll say, hey, we just went to Palm Springs, and they sat on the steps and wouldn't get off the steps. I mean, why am I spending all this money? And they wouldn't even swim. Kids, like a lot of us, are creatures of habit. And when it is a new pool, they can get psyched out a little bit. Typically what's going to happen is the hotel or the Airbnb pool is going to be a lot colder than the one we use because we're at 88, 90, and nobody's going to pay to heat their house pool up to that level, or their motel pool, hotel pool. So a lot of times it's the difference in that, and or it can be the change of the steps, change of the ladders. They just got to get familiar. But one of the key things that I think parents should get for their swimmers, especially in this beginning intermediate, buy a great pair of flippers. And we, swim schools sell the best kind, and take those on your trip. And to me, it's what floaties used to be is in the 70s, where it's like, okay, you're safe if you got your floaties on. If you got your flippers on, you're an intermediate swimmer. You're going to get somewhere. You're going to have the confidence to go maybe swim with your older cousins that are in the deep end. I didn't bring flippers. I'm younger. I'm going to try to keep up, but I'm going to get in trouble. Water my goggles. I tread water. I get vertical. So just putting those flippers on, and especially on trips, because it just what happens too with why I love flippers so much with learning kids learning to swim is the brain and the head grows so much quicker than the hands and the feet. Like my hand is basically the size of my head. You look at your child who's 3, 4, 5, 6. Their brain and head are way bigger than their foot or their hand. So it's hard for them to get the propulsion they need, especially in a foreign environment like, a pool they've never been in before. So that's a tip for travel pools.
Yeah. And I think another thing is they just trust the teachers so much. If that teacher's not in the pool with them, they think they shouldn't go in, or they just don't know what to do without that teacher. So that's when I think it's really important that the parents get in the pool. Not just, oh, go in, you know what to do, go in. Well, they're nervous. Get in with them and let them take their time getting comfortable.
But a lot of times mom on vacation wants to read a magazine, drink a glass of wine.
Yeah.
So dad's got to go in. The one thing I've noticed about dads is over the years is they tend to play a lot rougher with their kid in the water. So moms are, if they err, it's on the side of nurturing. And dads sometimes, if you've got a brand new swimmer, you may not want to throw them up in the air super high and let them go under, because you don't want to scare them when they're just starting to learn how to trust and get in the water like that. So like I said, dads are, and kids a lot of times will be more confident with dads, because dads will say, come on, man, I need you to swim to me. Come on, let's swim to me. And moms are, more like, do you want to come to me? Are you ready? So I know there's some stereotypes, but that's kind of what I've seen over the years with that.
Yeah, I think whatever works, whatever parent wants to get in to make them comfortable, that's what should happen. I know Joe just sent a message. It said, what age for breath control? So we do breath control exercises starting at 3 months. So we don't submerge them until they're at least 5 months, but only if they've been with us since they were 3 months. Otherwise, if they start at 4 months with us, we won't submerge them until 6 months. But so, we do breath control exercises with them, dumping the water on the head, using the signals so they understand what to do when the water's coming.
Kara, do you ever give bathtub homework for swimmers that aren't swimmers yet to help desensitize the face and stuff like that? What do you give?
Sure. Yeah, so when they're 3, 4, 5 months, it's usually a parent's in the water with them. So everything we're doing, we encourage them to practice the same thing at home.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we have some privacy, the parents, not all parents want to get in. So if we have a young one and we're doing, the breath control exercises, or they'll say, oh, they hate getting their face wet. I'll just say, hey, what do you do when you wash their hair? Oh, we put the visor on, or I'm like, okay, let's get rid of the visor. And, you have to let the face get wet, put them in the shower, whatever it takes, but they'll get used to it. And it's really more the parents not being comfortable because the child's not comfortable.
Right. No, yeah. One of the questions that we'll ask a new swimmer is the parent will say, how are they at bath time? And they'll say, oh, they love bath time. I'm like, how are they with getting their hair washed? You're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's not loving bath time.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, how do you wash their hair? And they'll say, oh, we lean back and what I mean? And just do like the salon sort of.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I would like to tell our parents, because when we put them under, we're going to go on 3 and you may go on go. But I said, when you're rinsing their hairs in the tub, just start doing it 1, 2, 3, and then release the water. Because they're going to start getting set, close their mouth, close their eyes, and anticipate it, as opposed to just like, here comes the water. When they're intermediate swimmer, you can splash around it, whatever. But we're talking about a kid and some kids are born with an aversion to to water being on their face or in their eyes or in their ears. So it's it's something that you can't go to swim class every day, but you take a bath every day. So you should be practicing the 1, 2, 3 and pouring it down. Also, another thing, kids that really hate, I find that sometimes they're sniffers. And so what'll happen is if you pour the water down your kid's, face in the tub and you hear them sniff up, it's like they have the muscle memory of having a cold. And when you have a cold, you sniff up if you have a runny nose. So that's reinforcing when they sniff up the bathtub water or the pool water. It burns. It doesn't feel good. I don't like it. So what you need to do is take your finger, run it down their nose, say, just let it out. Just release it. And just that touch of that and helping trigger that sort of tactile, function can really help a lot. Now, the other thing, so listen to see if you have sniffers and work on that. And if they hate getting their eyes wet, that's a great opportunity to wear goggles, because a lot of kids who hate getting their eyes wet also don't like to wear goggles. So you kind of have to do the little mind game or mind trick where we're going to put these on when I wash your hair today. But I don't want them. Do you want the water in your eyes? No. Okay, we're going to put the goggles on. No, I don't want them. Do you want the water in your eyes? You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm going to get used to it. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is great. I can relax.
Yeah, I remember my kids at bath time, they wore goggles every time they were in the bath. And it was like they thought they were in a pool. It was just constant. So yeah, that works for sure.
And I learned my first flip turn in the bathtub at about 4 years old.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. And we do that too. Like I'll say, if parents will say, oh, he's so uncomfortable on the back and this and that, or, it's cold in the winter, or we don't have a pool, our pool doesn't have a heat, or whatever it is. I'll say, get in the tub, fill the tub up as much as you can, get in with them, practice the back float, or put it down some, just practicing the back float so they can actually touch the bottom, because that helps them to be a little more comfortable. I mean, there's a million tricks we can tell, right?
Yeah. No, it's true. And I just saw a question come across that talked about, I was a Division I swimmer with Florida State University in the 80s. And I was recruited as a butterfly or individual medley swimmer and a backstroker. And, the question was, how did that inspire you to want to be a coach later in life? And to be honest, in college, I never thought I would be a coach or a teacher of swimming or surf coach or anything like that. And to be honest, I took this personality test one day at Florida State, and it was one of these where it tells you, hey, based on your personality, the way you answer these 100 questions, you're going to be more geared toward engineering, or you're going to be better at business, or this sort of thing. And I remember being very, very upset and sad because mine came back that said teacher, coach, preacher, counselor, social worker. and I might have cried that night because I just thought, I'm going to be poor and not prestigious. I wanted them to say, you're going to be a commercial real estate tycoon, when you're 20 and you got that, ego and testosterone. So I was actually bummed and like, maybe this thing's not right. And sure enough, after I went in the corporate world for 3.5 years after college with Northwestern Mutual, great company, Fortune 500 type company. And after about 3.5 years, what happened is after 3 years, my car got stolen one day when I left to go pick up a contract with a client, and I was on Music Row. I was living in Nashville at the time, Tennessee. And I just put the hazards on and ran in, and the contract wasn't ready. It was in the back office. The guy said, "Come on back here and let's get it." So it took longer than I thought. I came back out and my car was gone. And what was crazy was that I had so many changes of clothes. I had suits in there, swimsuits, wetsuits. I think like 10,000. It was stuff I had in the car was worth more than the car at the time. But my day timer and that we kept back in the day with before cell phones was with paper. And so when that got lost, I didn't have a schedule of the next 5 appointments I'm supposed to do the next couple of days. And so it caused me to reflect on, do I want to just keep doing this corporate 500 stuff? And I said, you know what? I really had fun when I was in college coaching summer league swim team. And that was really exciting and fun. And I think I want to do that fun thing again. And that's kind of how I got back into coaching after being a college, summer league coach. And then I got into writing screenplays. So I decided I wanted to write screenplays and coach and work with kids, because those are really fun things. If you can work with your imagination and work with children, it's once you get past the ego, it's really a great life. And that's why I moved to Los Angeles after Nashville to pursue the writing and the surfing and teaching more kids to swim.
That's awesome. So let's go more into the surfing part. And why don't you tell us about what you do for teaching safe entry in the ocean?
Yeah, this is, I think, really, really important and critical. Is when we have the kids come down to the beach to come for our beach and ocean safety classes. We don't say it's just surf class. We say it's ocean safety, introduction to wave play. And if you're ready and we think you're ready, we'll put you on the surfboard like this little guy. But I don't want to just have you come out and you have no skills in the waves and just put you on, a surfboard for a photo op. That's great for Honolulu and Hawaii, the kind of thing. But I want to build watermen and waterwomen for a lifetime. So what happens, everybody gets to the beach, they're super excited and just want to go running out into the water. So you got to stop that. And I ask questions like, okay, as we're putting our rash guard on or our wetsuit or we're stretching, I ask them to look out in the ocean and tell me what they see today as far as the size of the waves. Are they small, extra small, medium, large, extra large? And really, it's not really a wrong answer they can give you. It's about slowing them down to use I call it the small muscle in your eyes, your brain, then your big muscles in your body to survey the situation, and so if they say it's big, and I say, yeah, there are some big waves coming through, and sometimes there's some small ones. So you good. And then I'll ask, is the tide coming in? Does it seem like high tide or low tide? And I'll tell them how to look where the sand is wet and compact. And I say, if the tide's coming in, it's becoming high tide, it's going to push you more up the beach. So if you're not touching the bottom, then you're going to be pushed in that direction. Then I ask them about the wind, and I say, do you feel the wind blowing on your face or the back of your head when you look out at the ocean? And so a lot of times they can't feel it. They look at the flag on the lifeguard tower. I say, okay, so onshore wind is a safer wind. If you were floating around on a raft or whatever, and you got where you couldn't stand up, most likely the wind's going to start blowing you this way. Pretty safe. If you've got a strong offshore wind, that's dicey. That's when you can all of a sudden realize you can't touch the bottom. You're blowing out to sea. That's when panic sets in. That's when people get into trouble. So I want them, like I said, to engage their brains first, then assess the conditions. The other thing is, and this is so important, you never want to have and this goes all the way up to college, adults, anybody. It's fun to go running into the water, into the waves, and leap over a wave. What you don't want to do is leap over a wave and put your head down and dive under like you would, let's say, a racing start. Because I know you can do it. You know, these club swimmers and stuff like that, they can really launch themselves. But what happens is they don't realize there's a sandbar. And what they thought was 3 feet is only 12 inches deep. And I've known some world-class athletes that are in wheelchairs today. So that, you know, because of that very thing, they were running out incredible athletes and just launch themselves. So if you want to launch yourself, but land with your head up. That's a new thing in football, head up tackling or whatever. That's how you want to leap over. If you're swimming, yeah, you duck under the water. If you're on your knees, you can duck under, but you can't go running and launch yourself. And I tell you, when I see people doing it, it's hard for me not to go up to them. Typically, I will go up to a guy or a wife or a husband, and I'll just go, look, that's really cool what you did, but I just got to tell you, it's really, really, really dangerous. And it's an uncomfortable conversation. They feel embarrassed. Like, I'm a strong swimmer. I'm like, I know you are, man, but I know people that, you know, are in a wheelchair, that exact move. So you can also take off running and turn and flop on your back over a wave. That's great fun. Just don't launch and submerge with the head first.
Yeah, we're always big on, like, just make sure your hands are in front of you. You're always protecting your head everywhere.
Yeah. That's why in California they have these signs that say no diving. It looks like somebody's diving off a diving board, and it's a weird picture because it looks like it's a diving board thing. So you're like, what's on a diving board here? What I mean, I can't dive, but they're trying to say you can't do that. Launch yourself, you know, and dive. It's just so dangerous. Now, the other thing, Kara, when we're getting kids to go into the water, and this is adults as well, is I tell them, look, when you're walking into the water, if you don't want to get pushed or knocked down when the wave comes, turn your body sideways, spread your legs past your shoulders, and lower yourself a little bit. Today, I was working with this parents, their kid, and I saw the dad taking the mom out trying to get her confidence up. I could tell she wasn't confident. And they're just standing there, and these 3-foot waves are just knocking them, splashing them, knocking them backwards. Not fun. The waves are fun to go under, to ride, you know, but just to have them smack you over and over, because there's a wave, especially out here, there's a wave coming every 5-6 seconds. You know, it's like being in a shooting gallery. So we tell the kids, you know, walk in, turn your body sideways. Walk a few more steps, wave comes, turn your body sideways. That's first. It takes a little while longer to get them comfortable, you know, ducking under a wave. But we start with the side entry. But one thing I will say on the ducking under the water, duck diving, and that duck diving is done with the surfboard or without a surfboard. At the same time you duck under the white water. The mistake I see a lot of people make is they'll either go underwater when the white water is too far away, or they'll come up right in the middle of the white water because they're like, oh my God, I went under. I don't want to be held down. I'm afraid I'm going to be held to the bottom. So I say, you got to dive down. Every wave has like a little tail that follows it, and you can kind of feel it wash over the back of your body after the initial white water is gone. And I say, try to stay under until you feel the dragon tail go past you. There's no reason to rush coming back up. You know, all the good calm stuff's under the water. Go down, touch the sand, and you know, count to 3, then come up. You'll be so much happier.
That's good. Yeah, I love those tips you gave about standing sideways and getting in the water that way. And we do once in a while, we'll do some beach practices and just invite everybody. Hey, we're going to meet at the beach, you know, no extra, just we want to do some ocean awareness and give them those tips. And we like to incorporate the lifeguard there too. So, you know, I think it's always good for people to hear it from another source as well. You know, we're always preaching what we know and the importance of everything, but I do like to incorporate having someone else come in and say the same stuff.
Yeah. Another good thing you can do with your kids is ask them, do you see a lifeguard tower that's open? You know, and have them point to it. Well, how do you know it's open? Well, there's a flag flying and the buoy's up there. That's a sign of an open tower. So if you get lost or separated from your parent, that's the place you need to go to get reconnected. So
yeah, there's so many safety tips that they need to go to the beach. And the biggest one, like you said right there, if there's not a lifeguard stand, you shouldn't be going to that beach in the ocean. So never swim alone. That's the thing.
Yeah. Now I'd say if you're a strong swimmer and you're with your family, then you're not alone. But if you're just a kid going by yourself, yeah, Yeah. You don't,
Yeah.
you don't know. And do you want to touch on rip currents at all?
Yeah, go for it.
So the number one most dangerous thing that happens in the ocean is people get in trouble is a rip tide or rip current. And what that is like when the waves are coming toward the shore and they're breaking in, sometimes they form a river of water going back out to feed the next waves that are kind of come in. So it's almost like a river of water forms. Now, the way you look for that, there's a couple different things you can spot. Sometimes you'll see if I'm the sand, you'll see waves coming this way and waves coming at an angle, and they're kind of crossing up a little bit. It's not just all uniform. So that's it. Sometimes I say it's like a giant shaking a bowl of soup, and it's the waves are coming in different jumbled up patterns. Also, a lot of times it'll be some gray or sand kicked up in a certain area. You look over there and go, wow, that's I wonder what's kicking that sand up. What's kicking the sand up is all that water rushing back out. Now, where people get in trouble is, a riptide doesn't take you out typically very far. So when people find that they're drifting out further, they start to panic and they start trying to swim back into where their stuff is, which is straight ahead. And what happens when panic sets in, you're no longer thinking clearly and you're only able to carry one thought at a time. And that is, I need to get to safety, and that's straight ahead. Whereas when you got a rip current, rip tide, you have to go down the beach 20 yards parallel to the sand, then try to come in. 20, if that doesn't work, another 15 feet, then try to come in. But what really gets people in trouble is once they start to get the panic mode, they're no longer thinking. They're thinking, if I go away from the beach at all, I'm going to have a hard time. So the fear and the fighting the rip current is what kills people in those situations. The rip current doesn't pull them under, or take them out 20 miles. It's really the fear and trying to fight the ocean, and you just got to relax. Another thing, again, if you're not a super strong swimmer, get body surfing fins. DMC Repeller is a great fin. Duffin, DAFIN is a great fin. That just can be a total game changer. If you're out there in a rip tide and you've got a body surf fin, it's not a scuba fin with that or a pool fin that has a cup on the heel. It's got to have a strap. And that's going to help you get out of really any situation that's dangerous out there.
Yeah, and luckily the beaches post the riptide current information of when there is one, and hopefully people are reading them, because it's like you said, it's the people who don't know how to do it are the ones who are going to panic and find themselves in trouble.
Yeah, and the other thing I think you were touching on there too is that because a rip current was right in front of me 20 minutes ago, doesn't mean it's still there. Doesn't mean it's not going to move. So they pop up in a minute's notice and move. And a lot of times surfers or body surfers with fins on will maybe pick a rip current section to go out into because it pulls you out easier. And so once you get out there where you want to catch the waves, you've kind of gotten like a chairlift on a ski out.
Yeah.
It will freak the lifeguards out.
Yeah.
But, and also waves don't typically break very well in a riptide coming back to ride. They're all jumbled up. So it pulls you out, doesn't give you great rides coming back in. And like I said, most important thing is to, not to panic. Yeah,
for sure. Let's see. I see that Bess asked if there's any tips for adult swim lessons. Of course we do adult swim lessons. We don't turn anybody away. They're not always harder. I found that mainly with the adults, they don't know how to breathe. And once they learn how to breathe in water, they really take off. And it's just a confidence builder. It's just never being exposed to pools growing up is usually what happens. But always love teaching the adults. It's very rewarding.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? It takes a lot of courage for an adult to come in and say, you know what, I need to learn how to swim. So I'm really always in awe of people that come into the environment to do a one-on-one lesson, knowing that in the other part of the pool, there's 4-year-old kids. And here I am, 35, I'm an attorney. And, it can be humbling, but I'm so, so excited when they do come up for a lesson. And one of the things that I noticed, Kara, like I said, a lot of times it's the breathing. They're trying to breathe through their nose, or they, when you breathe normally on land, you just open your mouth and breathe. And so they're trying to breathe like that. Whereas us professional swimmers, we pucker our lips, we curl our lips. What happens is we're creating a gutter around our mouth for the water to not go in our mouth. And so a parent or adult's not really good swimmer. It's probably coming up and just going, and it's just pouring in the mouth, and they're choking, and they are, because they're getting water in their mouth. So sometimes we tell the kids kissy fish lips, but that's like a really great one for adults that aren't comfortable, just to practice putting your face in. You can hang on to the side.
Oh yeah.
Blow it out, but create a gutter, gutter system.
Yeah, we'll do. I mean, sometimes half the lesson is just that breathing. Mm-hmm. Face down, face up, inhale, exhale. But it's always the best. You always get the best result, when they're learning how to swim and they leave smiling, feeling a little bit better.
And what I found too over the years is that I'd say 80% of the adults that say, I'm not a good swimmer, I'd like to become a better swimmer, maybe 75% are really good runners. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they I love to run, I love to hike, I love to climb trail, what I mean? I'm not a good swimmer. And the reason they're not a good swimmer is your knees and ankles that are built for absorbing shock on land make it harder to have flexibility in the water to bend and to move yourself efficiently. So I had this adult years ago that was I like Debbie's comment.
Yeah.
Was an ultra marathoner. Okay. She ran 100-mile races, which is insanity. I can't remember how many hours. I don't know if it took 8-10 hours. Okay. So she wanted to do a triathlon, which is what gets a lot of people, want to do better on their swimming. And she came to me, and this woman's in fantastic shape. She couldn't make a lap of the pool. She wasn't going anywhere. And when she kicked with a kickboard, she was actually going backwards. And because to be able to do those kind of distances, the knees have to be solid like a shock absorber. Okay. And you look at a swimmer that's a really professional swimmer, their legs bend like a fish in an aquarium with their tail sort of feathers. And that's how, you think about a fish moving this way. Fish doesn't move. So what I love doing is getting, again, flippers on the feet of my adults, fins, body surf fins. Number one, they're going to get the sensation of what it's like to move forward. And the fins, when they're kicking and swimming, and going on vacation, are going to loosen and stretch the ankles out because of all the torque of having a long something on your feet. So it's not a crutch, it's a tool, and it's fun. And, if you're not a strong swimmer and you're an adult and you're going on vacation, you should be throwing a pair of good body surf fins in your bag.
Yeah. And I find that the fins will always correct the bicycle kick, because you can't do a bicycle kick with fins on.
Right. Just like, Kara, we were saying earlier, where a little child's foot and hand are smaller than their head, and they really can't get a lot of propulsion going forward. It was the same thing when you're bicycling or you have tight ankles. You're not getting the feedback that I just moved. I just got across there. You just realize, without it, you just say, I struggled and I survived, but I didn't really have anything kick in and wow, that felt good. When they first get some propulsion, it's a great feeling. It's an addictive feeling, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Love it. Let's see. Does anybody else have questions? Joe or Bess, do you see any other questions we should address here? Or Syd, if you have anything else you want to add too. I mean, we're not done. I just wanted to see if there's anybody we're not responding to. We're good? Cool. So I saw this quote in a book I'm reading, Syd. I want to share it with you. It's by W.H. Auden, and the book is called Blue Mind. And it's about water and how it affects your body and why it's so soothing and all this great information. But I just saw this the other day, so I just wanted to say, it said, thousands have lived without love, none without water. Wow. And I just thought that really is so true for us in our lives and what we do.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I had a parent years ago that said to me that I would be in the water teaching back in the day, 7, 8 hours, straight. I'd eat lunch in the pool and have everything set up on the side, so I didn't get out. But he said, you're going to live to be over 100 because you're in this water environment where gravity doesn't play on it, and it relaxes you being around. That's why people pay 3 times more to be on the water to get the view, because it actually does something to help them relax, and you think about royalty, everybody had fountains and pools and places again on the water. And so there is this just natural kind of healing that any water can do, whether it's a little fountain or your pool or your jacuzzi. Like I said, we can, you can live days and days and days without food, but water, you need it both physically and mentally to stay relaxed and de-stress.
Oh, for sure. We often say how jumping in the oceans are therapy, and it just really makes you feel better.
Yeah. You can't be mad once you've had a session in the water, in the ocean, swimming or body surfing. You can be tired, but you're not going to be mad or angry or stressed. Because everything's happening that's what we love about the sport, is the total immersion of being in a different world. When you go under that water, it's weightless. There's nobody talking to you or bugging you, and it's just it's magical. And when you learn to get good breaths of air and go back under that magical world, it just keeps getting better and better and better. It doesn't ever get old. No, Kara, let's talk a little bit about stingrays, maybe getting in the ocean.
Okay.
So a way to try to avoid stingrays. They bury themselves in the sand. And when people get stung by stingray, it's usually you step on it and the tail comes up like a scorpion and sort of gets you on. Typically, I've been hit on the back of my Achilles most times. So a way to try to scare them away, if you see them or you sense that they're there, is to walk in, you shuffle your feet, and then you stomp. So shuffle 3 or 4 steps, then stomp. That vibration and movement helps them think, okay, I want to get out of here because I feel something coming my way. I got to admit, I don't do it very often because, if you're going out 30 yards, it takes you a while to shuffle, stomp. But it can help you, and it's good just to practice it and have your kids practice it. Because what you don't want to have happen is you want to give them tools to be able to have success in the ocean. And that's one of the tools. Now, if you ever get stung by one, it's basically like a couple of bad bee stings in one area. And it's going to last 1 to 3 hours or so. And the best treatment for that is to get a bathtub of hot water or a bucket of hot water and just soak in that hot water. The hot water takes the toxins out, and it really, really makes a big difference. I was teaching a surf lesson once with an adult, and I got stung. My dog just turned on my HomePod speaker with her nose. She has a tendency she wants to rock out. So I was teaching a surf lesson, and all of a sudden this thing stung me on the back, and I just went, "Ow!" And they're like, "What is it?" I'm like, "I'm nothing. I'm good. And I finished the lesson another 30 minutes in the water. I was dying to get out, but I didn't want to tell them that I've been stung by stingrays. I want to freak them out. And I didn't want to ruin their lesson by thinking the instructor really doesn't want to be here right now. He's in pain. Yeah. So sometimes you just, you got to suck it up for the good of whoever you're working with. And, you won't die from it.
Oh, good to know. But I like those tips. Not out of 10 times you won't. Yeah, Syd, you are an ocean and lesson encyclopedia, of course. And we always have our conversations last hours sometimes. We just can't stop talking about how we're teaching, what are we doing differently, and what happened today. Yeah, it's always good. Well, I want to thank Syd for joining Seahorse Tales here on Swim Monkey TV, presented by Florida Swim Network. Do you have anything else, Syd, before we sign off?
No, I think this is the time to be in the water, and swimming is great. Chlorine is great for the COVID low transmission or no transmission really in chlorine, and get out there and enjoy it. But like I said, especially with the beach, get when your family, when you go together, before you all get in, just stop and have a conversation about what's going on out there today.
Definitely.
Because if they're not ever used to doing that, when you send them to the beach when they're 13 or 14 with their buddies, they're just going to race out to the water and then maybe get in trouble and realize, oh, I didn't realize, wow, it's really blowing offshore, or waves are a lot bigger than I thought. Don't get in and then assess the conditions. Assess before you get into the water, and you'll have a great time and a beautiful summer.
And I remember you giving me a tip once. We were talking about probably the time we were there doing the stand-up paddleboarding. And I was like, oh, I don't know if it's too big. And you said, well, when in doubt, don't go out.
Yes, that's a great one. When you're in doubt, don't go out. If you think it's above your abilities, it probably is. Yeah. And I'll get, I got one last great, I think it's a great tip to share with you about getting in the water. When I was growing up, we would go to vacation in Panama City. That's the only, every vacation I've ever taken in my life, it was in Florida. No museums, no ski trips. It was Florida. And so my mom used to say when I was younger, don't go out too far and scare me. Okay. And that's such an arbitrary thing. And some parents today are doing the same thing. Don't go out far. What is far? They don't know what 20 yards is, 25 yards. You don't know it's far until you've gone too far, right? So I try to tell parents to just again trying to get them to use their brain is go, okay, when we first go in, if the water when you're standing up is above let's say above your belly button, I want you to a couple steps closer into the shore, okay? Or you can make it their armpits, or if you can't touch the bottom, you're out too far. So give them a boundary that's their body, as opposed to 35 yards out. You might. Don't go past that. There's no buoy out there, but your body, all of a sudden, like, hey, and bring them back in and go, hey, you're out a little too far. I want you to be aware what I told you the boundary is, and then you can adjust it. But I like giving them a physical, boundary to get out into the water and not be surprised. I said that was the last thing. One last thing, second last thing is with the kids. When we're getting in the water and we're stretching and they want to go in and get, boogie board and stuff, I'll look out and I'll say, okay, look out. Do you see those guys walking out in the water right there? They look about your height. You see where they're not standing up. The water's right here. So, when you get about that far out, it's going to be a lot deeper because it changes every 5 hours. The tide switches. So I like looking out and going, oh, wow, those people are standing up way out there. Okay. That gives me some idea of what the bottom conditions are going to be like today.
Yeah, it's about the communication and making sure everybody's being aware. Ocean awareness. It's really important. All right. Well, Syd, we might have to have you on again. This is great. Until next time, swim safe.
A lot of fun. I'm excited for Swim Monkey, and this is great.
Yeah, awesome. Well, swim safely and be kind, everybody. Till next time. Bye.
Join us on the Swim Monkey.
Swim Monkey TV on the Monkey.